Happy Friday, everybody. It's Maria Rini from the Welcome Home team, and behind the camera,
Hi, everybody.
here's Corey Waters, and we are here today at the Bolero Snort Brewery. We are so excited to be here with Bob Olson. Now, I've known Bob since he was brewing beer in the garage. So Bolero's come.
This ain't your garage.
Exactly. A long way since then. Give us a little history.
Yes, so it kind of just started as a passion, or I guess really more something out of boredom initially. And I was looking for a change career-wise or from the job that I had, and said, why not take a run at it? So we started making beer commercially a little over 8 years ago. We started doing what was called gypsy brewing, or contract brewing, so almost like a chef using somebody else's kitchen, because these shiny tanks are very expensive, and starting out we didn't have the ability to have them ourselves, so we rented space in other breweries to make our beers and then distributed them ourselves throughout the state of New Jersey. And I guess it was a little over a year ago we opened up our own home production facility here in the Meadowlands. So
Just in time for a pandemic. Fabulous time.
we got a whopping 2 months of January and February when everybody's drinking the heaviest. Nobody does dry January or has New Year's resolutions. So yeah, it was interesting, but we didn't make it this far to have a pandemic take us out. So it was certainly another layer of stress that I don't think anybody could anticipate, but we hunkered down. We kept our entire team working the entire time. We made it through this entire thing to this point without anybody getting sick on our production, having to shut anything down. So everybody was incredibly responsible with it and took it seriously because we had a lot at stake. But a lot of laws changed because of COVID that really kind of made things easier and beer more accessible, because they tried to, the state was giving us a fighting chance, or attempting to.
So tell us about some of those changes that were made during COVID and how you utilized them.
Yeah, so I guess one of the biggest, when you pull in, you'll see we have a big outdoor beer garden. So when we first found this property, we jokingly always referred to that street as something we would eventually squat on, and the pandemic led us to do that. So it's actually town property. It's a street on paper only, and we pitched it to the town that we could improve it a little bit and have this really cool space that was safe for people to come and drink and kind of take a break and get some reprieve from everything that was going on. And we have Bolero Park because of it. So and that was a temporary thing, and it got extended, and now they've granted that through the end of next year. So we have that we'll be able to have that outdoor beer garden at the very least till then, and we're working with our state senators to try and make it a permanent thing, because who knows how long people have PTSD from this and going inside. And if you come here, we have a really nice tasting room, but it's a very intimate tasting room because it was built before a pandemic. So it's great that we have that space inside, but outside was a true blessing that it was there and accessible, and the town here is great and very supportive of us and what we're doing. So.
Yeah, and right now, for you guys out there, we are in a beautiful space overlooking the production floor.
Correct.
And one of the ways you've also pivoted is using the production floor as...
Yeah, when we had the tent outside starting last year, and then it got cold and nobody wanted to drink outside, or there was always a brave few souls that would be ankle deep in snow with their parka on, sipping beer because they weren't comfortable to come in. But it kind of forced us on the weekends at least. We have some open space still. We're cleaning up today on a Friday afternoon, which would be nice to have people sitting there drinking. But production comes first, but it's some utilizable space right now. That hopefully won't be there for much longer because everybody's drinking more beer or more seltzers, and there's tanks in the way. So
now I noticed you also have to go. You can call ahead and pick up from the loading dock out here.
Oh yeah, so that was we're always been able to sell directly to consumers if you come and visit us here. Another pandemic granted privilege. is the ability to home deliver. So you can actually have one of our bright, bushy tails come right to your door with a case of beer and a smile, and drop it off if you don't want to leave the comfort of your home. We do some things to try and drag people out. Some releases that you can only get here, special events and whatnot. But
So let's talk about a couple of those things. One, I want to talk about your newest product,
Yeah.
one of my favorites, the hard seltzer. Here it is. And the newest flavor is cotton candy. Fabulous. Fabulous. But the seltzer's called Broad Street, and that's named in honor of your...
yeah, so the building here is on the corner of 20th Street and Broad Street, but Broad Street you still get the BS like Bolero Snort, so it's kind of a subtle nod. Kate, one of our brewers, I guess early last year, kind of came to us and said, well, what if we tried like this seltzer thing? And we weren't opposed to it, obviously, but it didn't feel like a Bolero thing to have this crystal clear, low ABV. We make serious beer for not so serious people is kind of the Bolero mantra. Sometimes we even coin the Bolero confectionery. I mean, marshmallows and God only knows, but you get a little bit of a nod to that with some of the flavors that we have in our Broad Street line. I mean, we make the cotton candy. One of our popular beers is the OVB, which is a orange creamsicle type vibe, and we did that in the seltzer as well. Then we have a couple more normal. We do a pink guava that's just my personal favorite of the group, and then round it out with a blackberry cucumber.
Super. So to talk a little beer, I'm gonna switch up with Corey because we have
Don't
the
disconnect the
privilege-
feed though.
No, we have the privilege of having an original sacred
Society of the Sacred Cow.
Society of the Sacred Cow member with us. So I'm going to let Corey talk to Bob about some beer and maybe
You
talk
should probably
some.
have his beer.
I should have my beer.
I can't be drinking alone. I mean, I can.
I'm slacking here, yeah. So I have the OVB. I love the OVB. It's one of the ones that I drank a lot. Bob, thanks for talking. So OVB, we've talked about Broad Street. We've talked about a lot of the beers have a lot of flavors in them, a lot of interesting things that you don't find in other places, marshmallows, Skittles, whatever else. How do you come up with all the names? Because there's an overarching theme to every single beer. I am out of this world impressed.
We jokingly refer to ourselves as like the Marvel of craft beer. We've been like planting Easter eggs and seeds and labels and whatnot for forever, but sometimes it's random fans or like something happens or you say any word that ends in a bull or ABLE, IBLE, and it's like, oh, that sounds reasonable, and it's like, well, we could make that a beer name and just put an obscene amount of candy into it. So sometimes it's a name comes, chicken or egg. Sometimes the beer comes first. And it's like, well, what can we, we have this idea for this flavor or this concept. What can we call it? And that's why OVB is just called OVB as opposed to Orange Vanilla Bullsicle, because that
just gets too much.
Just doesn't. It's too much. But it's been around for a long time, so we stick with it, and that's why it's just OVB. It's easier that way.
Yeah, I think I talked with Scott, who works here, and part owner, right?
Yeah,
Scott's part owner. Yeah, I talked to him early on and talked to him about the names. He's like, man, I got like 800 names built up. That'll just go on
we
forever.
actually have this good joke that at some point we're going to put a beer out called Running Out of Bull Puns, but it's just going to be all the names that we haven't even done yet. It's like newsprint with a bull literally running out of the page, because I don't think there'll ever be a lack of them.
Yeah.
I think lately we've tried to be a little bit more, sometimes I guess, creative or nuanced with it, using herd or steer or even things like, foggy pastures, to make a nod to the bull thing without necessarily jamming it down your throat.
Right.
But I mean, we're never going to stop just coming up with the
Please
like,
don't,
how do you
because they
spell
are
that?
amazing.
And then forget about pronouncing some of them.
Yeah. So who comes up with all the art? How do you guys work with the art? Because it is just as outrageous and interesting and specific to each beer as the names are.
Yeah, it's so all of our labels are done by my buddy Jim. He's got a full-time day gig and just is an incredible artist on the site.
Okay.
And it started, we were judging a homebrew competition together many years ago, and I was lamenting about trying to put like a clip art farmer's hat on our standard logo at the time, and he's like, well, I'm an artist, I can help you out with
Do that for you.
Little did he know what he was going to get suckered into for the next couple of years, but he definitely has a unique fingerprint, and so sometimes it's the team has a concept. He and I work very closely together on the imagery.
Right.
And sometimes I'll send him a stick figure with like a stupid face that I'm making, and he'll figure out how to make a bowl that looks that way, in whatever nonsense situation we come up with.
So how many people do you have on the staff? How many full-time people brewing beer do you have here?
So we call it the red floor team, obviously, because of our bright red production floor. So I think we're at 5, and we have 2 more coming on in the next couple months.
That's great.
We'll be scaling into the summer months and the beer selling and seltzer drinking seasons.
Yeah.
So I think we're at 5 on the floor right now, moving to 7, and then it's hard mixed with all the part-timers, but payroll, I think we're up to almost like 20 people, so
great.
And climbing. So I mean, when we started the year, we were at 12. So
well, it's definitely grown a lot from when I joined the Society of Sacred Cow like a year and a half or whatever it was ago. It's only been here a year.
It's like the year that felt like forever, and yet
feels
went by
like so much longer than a year.
And then I mean, even I think you'll see as you came back in, we, as many homeowners did over the pandemic, kind of went to Home Depot and did some sprucing up. Up here didn't used to have the paneling, and we just wanted to make it feel a little bit more warm. We built our little retail shop. We spruced up the tasting room. So everything everybody was doing at home, we kind of did here while also making lots of beer.
That's awesome, man. So what do you see for the summer? You think it's going to keep continuing? You're going to be able to open up a little more? I know you're keeping outside, which is amazing.
I mean, I think so. I certainly hope so. But I think outdoors is going to be where it's at, and that's why we're kind of going full steam with the park and just having a really cool outdoor space where, as long as it's not abysmally hot, we had some pretty cool misting systems and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it was very cool last year.
Or that nice Meadowlands breeze keeps things going. But
well, that's why we couldn't do it outside today.
Just having a really cool, safe space for people. Obviously, we're going to let people inside when it's raining, or have the production floor as long as it's afforded to us. But I think there's a lot of pent-up demand for just socialization and hanging out, and as more people are getting vaccinated and things open up. But I'm excited.
Right.
Bobby, talk about that a little bit. Pent-up demand, socialization. You were talking about some events earlier. What do you got coming up? You got a home brewing thing coming up?
Yeah, so we have, it's really funny, right before we closed because of the pandemic, down on the tasting room, there was a thing that said Pie Day, and we had like 2 beers planned for it. So we actually reopened the tasting room
March
for
14th.
Pie Day a year later, and we joked a couple months into the pandemic, we never thought that it would take until a year went by, but we always joked, we were like, that's going to be,
Guess you're taking my interview office now. I have to rearrange what I'm doing.
Hi, Scott.
typical Scott fashion. But so we did a really cool Pie Day event. I think we had 23 different pie-inspired beers. So kind of building off that and just kind of having a fun, something different for people to come out and hang out and try things. We have what's called Mallow Out. So I think we'll have maybe not quite as many marshmallow-filled beers.
There's a lot of them.
Just bring your diabetes shot with you.
Man, yeah.
So that's next weekend, May 1st. The weekend after that, kind of going back to the homebrew roots. Stone, one of our brewers, is a home brewer, so he's kind of spearheading the National Homebrewers Association does a big brew. So we're hosting here. So we have, I think, 10 or 12 different groups of homebrewers that we're going to set up behind the building and give them hot and cold water. They're going to brew here, and in conjunction with that, we have a homebrew competition where the winner will get to brew their beer commercially. So
That's great. That's pretty awesome.
just kind of a fun little nod to where we came from and to do something cool for that community. And then who knows? I mean, the summer's coming, so lots of zany ideas. Follow us
Always.
on Instagram and
Yep.
Facebook and all that good jazz, because that's where you'll find out.
Yeah, they're tagged in the post, so you can find Bolero on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram. Come down and see them. They have a wonderful facility. Maria, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, just thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
having us.
coming. Come drink again.
Candy seltzer.
It's gone. I see how empty it is.
There you go. That's great. So thank you so much to Bob Olson. We're the Welcome Home team. We'll see you next Friday, guys. Enjoy your weekend.
Cheers.